for InfoLive TV. It's Olivier Rafovich in direct from Jerusalem. Today we have an incredible interview with Professor Doron Nof about maybe what it's possible, like a revolution in the history of humanity. Doron Nof, good morning in Florida.
Good morning.
You have published a few days ago a study about something connected to Jesus and the Lake of Galilee. Can you please tell us more about it?
Okay, the work that we did is we tried to see whether the climate over the Sea of Galilee, maybe it was different during the time of Jesus. We wanted to see whether there was a possibility that perhaps part of the lake froze, and that the origin of the story of him walking on water is really about someone, either him or someone else walking on ice.
Excuse me, just I want to understand. You are claiming that there is a possibility that the Lake of Galilee was frozen at the time of Jesus Christ, right?
Not entirely frozen, only part of it. But we're claiming that part of it might have been frozen, yeah.
Are you aware that you are maybe here making a huge revolution in the history of the Bible and of humanity concerning this period?
Well, maybe there is a revolution, maybe in the way that people need to think about it, but in terms of science, it's not such a big revolution because climate historically has changed. It's not always the same. And if you look at the climate of what happened there 2,500 years ago, the climate was considerably cooler than today. And there are also salt springs that empty into the lake on the western side. They don't empty to the lake anymore because they have been diverted to the Jordan River about 50 years ago. But during ancient times, they were emptying the water into the Sea of Galilee. This water was salty, well, it is still salty, and because it is salty water, there is when the lake gets cooled, then the water above the salty water can freeze, and that will take me a minute or two to explain.
Yes, please. I just want to mention that you are a professor in oceanographic studies. You have received in your last year's many awards all over the world for your different...
Yeah, one award last year.
Okay. And right now, in this study about Lake of Galilee and Jesus, you are not only talking about science, but also about religion and belief. So, okay, please, what was your starting point to make this study possible?
Well, about 14 years ago, some a colleague and myself, we did a study of the effect of winds on the Red Sea. Particularly, we looked at what the wind could do to the edge of the Gulf of Suez, and we concluded that if the wind blows from the right direction, and if it's strong enough, that it can expose a ridge that is usually submerged. And we thought, well, maybe that's provide an explanation for the crossing of the biblical crossing of the Red Sea. And in fact, I remember we went back to the Bible. In fact, it does speak that the wind was blew the night before for a long, long time. So after we finished that study, it kind of was back in my mind, well, maybe there is some explanation for how can someone walk on water. And it's kind of laid in the back of my mind for years, I guess 14 years, until 2 years ago, where it just crossed my mind that perhaps it was frozen. So we looked into the data to see if the climate could have been cooler, and we looked at the structure of the lake, and we saw that issue with the salt springs emptying into it, and we concluded that it's probably very possible that during that time, a small fraction of the lake, maybe like the size of a typical apartment, or maybe bigger, like maybe 100, maybe 1,000. It's about 30. about 1,000 meters square that could freeze. And the salty springs are in Tabcha, and Tabcha is where the archaeologist says that Jesus lived.
Professor Doron Nof, have you been joined by other scientists all over the world to reinforce your study, your research about it?
So far, I just got, well, first of all, it was published in a peer-reviewed journal, which means that other scientists read it carefully, maybe not checked all the calculations, but kind of read it carefully and looked that there is nothing obviously wrong with that. So
you believe that Jesus was not walking, but was skating on the Sea of Galilee?
But I'm not saying that he was skating. Someone can still walk on the lake. You don't need to skate on it.
Professor Doron Nof, for your research about Jesus maybe walking on ice instead of walking in water, I would like really to thank you very much. We believe in InfoLife TV that it's a very interesting subject. I believe still very controversial, but science many times is choosing very interesting and sometimes very particular ways to express itself. Thank you very much.